Good morning. Happy couple of days after Thanksgiving. I hope you are all standing and enjoying the end of this first holiday and the beginning of the month of September. It's a month that can carry so much meaning for many of us as we allow ourselves to keep taking deep breaths and letting in special moments all month long. Welcome to First Parish in Needham, Unitarian Universalist. We are a community of folks from a wide variety of religious and cultural backgrounds who share a commitment to making meaning in our lives and supporting each other in our journey lifelong. My name is Becky Siebens. I also go by Bix these days. My late husband and I found our way to this community about 15 years ago. And we found great richness of shared ideas, fun, and support here. Most touchingly for me were the support I received from this community after Dick died, and the fun of socializing our puppy, Tutu, in the midst of my grief and during high COVID. You did so well that Tutu and I have just become a certified therapy dog team, and together we are Tutu and Bix. Our community is rich and varied in our beliefs, but we care about values, and we value learning and curiosity with openness to new insights as we move through our whole lives. One of the ways we do that is through our Lane Lyceum series, organized by the Adult Enrichment Committee, formerly the Continuing Ed Committee. I can't even get these words out, okay? Now Adult Enrichment. And I'm now serving on that committee. Our lyceums range tremendously on topics ranging from learning about turkeys to taking a second look at nuclear power, huge range. They all expand our awareness of the world around us and offer thought-provoking opportunities for connection. Next week's Lyceum on Sunday afternoon is on supporting the role of parents, raising anti-racist kids. This topic lies at the intersection of so many of our values of equity, transformation, plurality, all on a foundation of love. How do we move towards the beloved community we can shape in our homes, in this community, and in our world? Childcare will be provided next week. We welcome you to spread the word about this important Lyceum. It could serve as an introduction to a broader four-part series starting early in January. We hope lots of folks will come. Another Lyceum coming up in January will feature our own resident expert on recycling in our whole region, Claire Galkowski. Watch for notices about that in Bell Notes, the newsletter. Speaking of which, to find out more about any of the conversations that happen on Sundays and throughout the week here, just sign up for our newsletter, which can be found on our website, uuneedham.org. We welcome everyone this morning, whether you're here in person or out in the universe somewhere else. If you are here in person, we encourage you to grab a red mug in social hour right down the hall here, so folks can have a chance to welcome you. Here in this community, we learn and explore as we go, and we support each other along the way. Please rest in the knowledge that you are welcome here.
This morning, we both light our chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, and the first purple candle on our Advent wreath, the candle of hope, the first blessing of the Christian sacred season leading into Christmas. We read words responsively adapted from Euro-American lesbian Christian UU minister, Reverend Lois Van Leer. You'll read the italicized type along with Dara, and the words are in your orders of service and on screen. There may be a line that's supposed to be you that I forgot to italicize. We'll see what happens up there. And we'll begin. We light this chalice
not because we must, but because we may.
We light this chalice
not because we have the truth, but because we come bearing and seeking many truths, many stories.
We light this chalice
in connection across culture, distance, class, and language.
We light this chalice
that our religion may be a beacon of light, justice, and hope.
We light this chalice
to kindle that hope in our hearts and our minds.
Our opening hymn, Come Sing a Song With Me, was written by modern Euro-American activist and singer-songwriter Carolyn McDade. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing Come Sing a Song With Me. The lyrics are in your orders of service on screen at number 346 in your gray hymnals.
In the Unitarian Universalist tradition, the covenant is a set of promises the membership of a congregation strives to honor with one another and out in the world. Whether we participate in our community online or in the building, we strive to live these promises every day. Please say along with me the words of our parish covenant, as in the orders of service and on screen. Are they up there yet? We gather as a loving community to encourage and comfort one another. We gather as a diverse community to support each other in our search for spiritual truth. We gather as a service community to live our beliefs through action and care for our world.
Curiosity and wonder are a big part of who we are as Unitarian Universalists. This morning, I've put actually a couple of things inside this wonder box that have to do with today's worship theme. And so would anyone, especially our kids and youth, but adults are welcome too, would anyone like to guess what I have put inside our wonder box? Yeah. Yep, Casey. A Yule log, is that what I heard? Ah, good guess, a Yule log. Any other guesses? Yeah. A rose, great guess based on our last hymn. Yeah. A chalice, I like these guesses. I'll take one more guess if anyone has them. A whole turkey inside this box. Good guess. All right, well, let's see what's really in there. Would anyone like to open the wonder box for us this morning? Yeah, right there. That's right. All right, thank you, Vivi. So I've put a couple of things in here. I've put some logos in here for people to guess. So we've already guessed this one. This stands for Google, which of course is a search engine that helps you find answers to your questions instantly without needing to wait to check out a book or an encyclopedia. All right, does someone know what this logo stands for and what the company does? Raffi. Good, nice, and you can see it from all the way back there, Netflix. And what does Netflix do? Yeah, Casey. It's a TV thing, that's right. With Netflix, you can watch an entire season of your favorite show right away. There's no need to wait for the next episode to come, or next week, or next month. And this last one is a little bit trickier. Does anyone know what this company is? Whole Foods, close. I think their logo is really similar. Henry? Instacart, well done. Well done. Can anyone tell us what Instacart does? Yeah, Vivi. That's exactly right. You can order your groceries online and shoppers from Instacart will deliver them right to your door. It's really convenient. It worked really well for a lot of people during COVID. Thank you, Dara. So one thing that these apps all have in common is that they cut down on the time that we spend waiting for things. So whether it's waiting for a new episode of our favorite TV show, waiting for groceries, or for answers to our questions, these apps help us get the things that we want faster. Some of them, like Google, have been around for so long now that it might be hard for some of us to imagine a world without being able to just Google it. But sometimes waiting is still important. With more and more technologies like these out here, does anyone here find it hard to wait sometimes for things? Anyone? I certainly do. And so one thing that I love about the month of December is Advent. Advent, in the Christian tradition, is the season of waiting and preparing for Christmas, and it's celebrated for the 4 Sundays in a month before Christmas, which is why we lit the first candle on our Advent wreath this morning. And Christians believe that the kind of transformation and justice that Jesus will bring to the world when he is born on Christmas Day is not something that happens overnight or at the push of a button, but is something that takes time and patience, and that actually requires our active help preparing for. And that is what Advent is all about. So I'm curious for each of us to think about quietly in our own hearts, what is something that you're waiting for? Maybe it's Christmas. Maybe your family celebrates a different winter tradition. Maybe it's a birthday or a present. How does it feel to have to wait for this thing to come? And is there something in the world that you are waiting for? Do you want to see, for example, a more just and a more loving world come to bear? What helps you wait better and grow your patience? And how can we still be part of making the world better even while we wait for some of these changes to come? And so whether or not you celebrate Advent at home, I hope that we all find things this month worth waiting for, and that we discover ways to wait with patience, purpose, and our UU values at the center. Here ends our time for all ages.
As our children and teachers follow Reverend Jenna down to their pageant preparation classes, please join in singing Long Time Son as on screen and in your orders of service.
May the long time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and a pure light within you guide your way on. May the long time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and a pure light within you guide your way on.
So y'all might have noticed when you came into the sanctuary today that we've got a new table over here. We're really excited for this experiment that we're trying, and it will be on how we share our milestones and our obstacles, and these great important things that we experience in our lives. So on the table, you'll notice that there are cards, and there are pens, and there are markers. And we would like you to fill out one of these cards and share some of these milestones and obstacles that you carry with you so that we can hold you in this loving community. So You can come up at any time when you first enter the building, before the service. You can come up at any time during the service itself and quietly fill out a card and leave it there, and we will put it into our book of life. And if you are not able to be with us here in the building on Sundays, Reverend Katie and Reverend Jenna and I are receiving these milestones and obstacles at candles@uuneedham.org. If you get them to me by the Friday at midnight before the service, I can read them aloud. But now that we have our book of life, if you would prefer to have your milestone or obstacle go into the book of life, please tell me in the email, and I'll make sure that it gets done. So, we have 2 pre-submitted candles. The first is a candle of sorrow and gratitude for Emily Lapierre. This is her last day with us. I know. We will miss her welcoming smile, her ready laugh, and her caring warmth. We'll also miss her beautiful daughter, Aurora, who with her quiet joy in being here with her church friends before the service, and her exuberant joy as she plays with her friends during social hour after the service. We wish them all the best, and we will miss them both. Our second candle, also from the staff, is for the World Kitchen aid workers who were killed in an Israeli airstrike as they were bringing desperately needed supplies to people and residents of Gaza. We pray for an end to policies that justify killing innocent people in the quest for retaliation against Hamas. May there be an end to the ongoing violence. And now, if you are here in the building and you have a milestone or an obstacle that you would like to share, I invite you to come forward. Please say your name into the microphone and your pronouns if you would like to, and share briefly. Oh, light a candle first. Sorry, I forgot the important piece. Invite you to come forward.
My name is Darlene J. Cokes, she, her. I'm lighting a candle for my mother-in-law. We just moved her up here from Virginia, and she doesn't want to be here, but it's where she needs to be. So it's celebration, because of a huge deal, and concern for her. So thank you.
For all the milestones and obstacles in our lives that remain silent in our hearts, we light a final candle. May the peace of this sanctuary be felt too, wherever you are joining us from, as we know that no matter when or where we are joining this service, we are all part of one community. I invite you to settle into your seats wherever you're joining us from. And after this very busy Thanksgiving week, let go of any residual hustle and bustle of preparedness, preparations, and cooking, of travel to be with family or with friends, and be here now. Allow the peace of this sanctuary to seep into your heart and into your bones. And breathe with me, in and out. And one more, in and out. Please join me in the spirit of prayer with these words adapted from Icelandic American retired UU minister Reverend Wayne Arneson. Spirit of life, love, and hope. The beginning of the holiday season is filled with temptations to conspicuous consumption and pleas for generosity. The contrast between the values represented by this time of year and our ability to fulfill them remind us how great the distance can be between aspiration and actions. The month has begun with the observance of World AIDS Day, which reminds us of all those at home and abroad who suffer from disease, poverty, and discrimination. The messages of liberation, dignity, and joy that come with Hanukkah and with Christmas are hard to hear unless they are conveyed by gracious acts of outreach to those who suffer. Our prayer this day, then, is that we may be gentle with ourselves and with others as we do our best to navigate through the tricky shoals of December, remembering both our many joys and our many obstacles to beloved community. May we avoid being so distracted with our own problems and duties that we forget the wider web of life of which we are a part. May we go about our rounds of preparation and festivities with a light heart and with boundless patience. May any dissatisfactions that are part of our lot be our companions, but not control us as we cross the holiday threshold. And may all the joys of the season be ours this time around. Amen. Please remain seated and join in singing our meditative response, the fourth verse of O Come, Emmanuel. The lyrics are in your orders of service, on screen, and at number 225 in the gray hymnals.
This congregation has been supported by the volunteered time and treasure of its members and friends since its founding in 1711. This is the time in our service when we, the modern stewards of the church, offer what we can to build and sustain the congregation and the world we envision. For the month of December, our collections are being split 50-50 with Pathways Family Shelter. For many years, Pathway Family Shelter has provided a communal living space with 14 private family rooms to help local families with children get through difficult times. First Parish is a longtime supporter of Pathways Family Shelter through our offering collection and our annual Mitten Tree Holiday Gifts program. As you hopefully read in the bell notes, we expect to have our physical mitten tree and our online sign-up ready by next Sunday, December 8th. To donate to today's offering, you can use one of 3 different methods as described in detail in your orders of service: our Text to Give program, donating through our website, or dropping a check or cash in our collection plate, or mailing a check to First Parish. Whichever way you donate, please specify whether it's meant for the plate collection or your annual pledge. And if this is one of your first visits to First Parish, we encourage you to fill out a yellow card in your pew back to drop in the collection plate, or fill out our online visitors form at uuneedham.updates.church. And many thanks to our First Parish staff team for our flowers this morning, both to wish the whole community a happy and healthy holiday season, and as part of our farewell and best wishes to our engagement coordinator, Emily Lapierre, whose last Sunday is today. Thank you, Emily. Enjoy the flowers with Aurora, and we hope that you won't be strangers. Thank you for everything you are able to give to help support and sustain this congregation and the vital work of our community partners. May the ushers please come forward.
Your
Good morning. I was excited to use the new railing. When we think of chronic illness or disability, we often think of the negatives. It is difficult to live with something that takes up so much of a person's time, life, and attention. Often living with a long-term disability is costly, both financially and physically, as well as emotionally. It can be scary at times. For me, it involves a lot of medication to control symptoms. While these aspects are true for many people, what I often think of and feel strongly about are the positives of living with two very long-term mental illnesses. Of course, there have been many extremely difficult times. Those continue to be challenging. But I have developed so many strengths through these experiences. There are numerous coping skills that I've collected. My favorite is going to the gym and lifting weights. This takes the bad feelings out of my body and substitutes wonderful feelings of being powerful. I have a resilience for facing challenges that come my way. I can handle almost anything. This inner strength gives me a wonderful outlook on life, as I know I can push through difficult times and come out on the other side feeling stronger. The security that rests in being able to trust myself helps me going forward, knowing that more will come along that will be tough, but it will be okay. Another byproduct of adversity for me is learning how to trust in others, especially my family. If I am struggling, my default is often to try to hide the problem. I don't want to bother anyone. My son has been teaching me that sharing and asking for help is a good thing. This work of learning to communicate with my family and others has, I've found, brought me closer to those I share with. Again, this is another tool to add to the arsenal of skills I'm collecting. In summary, I would never trade who I am for anything else, because who I am is a culmination of years of hard work, resulting in an inner strength and optimistic outlook on life that I treasure.
What you risk telling your story, that you will bore them. Your voice will break, your ink will spill and stain your coat. No one will understand. Their eyes become fences. You will park yourself forever on the outside, your differentness once and for all revealed and dangerous. The names you give to yourself become epithets. Your happiness will be called bravery or denial. Your sadness will justify their pity. Your fear will magnify their fears. Everything you say will prove something about their God, about their economic system. Those with power can afford to tell their story or not. Those without power risk everything to tell their story and must. Someone, somewhere, will hear your story and decide to fight, to live and refuse compromise. Someone else will tell her story, risking everything. An excerpt from Queer Disabled, your American activist and author, Laura Hershey. I deeply appreciate Susan's willingness to share a bit of her story with the congregation today, especially with very little notice from me, as we'd been talking about finding a time in May, Mental Health Awareness Month, to include voices of disabled first parishioners in worship as part of our congregation's diversity, equity, and inclusion work. And you all can look forward to that service in the future, too. And inspired by Susan, by World AIDS Day, by our theme month beginning today on storytelling and deep listening, I'll share with you some stories, especially because, as the modern disability justice motto goes, nothing about us without us. Queer Your American retired UU minister, Reverend Kim Crawford Harvey, my internship mentor and Reverend Jenna's minister during her seminary years, started her ministry on Cape Cod, first for a year in Brewster and then 4 years in Provincetown. She gave an interview some years back to the Provincetown History project about her years serving the Universalist Meeting House from 1985 to 1989. And just from those dates, some of you may guess where this story is going. She said, "I think when I got there, AIDS was still GRID, the gay-related infectious disease. None of us really knew much, but it didn't sound good. The news out of California wasn't good." Reverend Kim first remembered Bill Oyette, a bartender at the A House, who had something that looked like a terrible bruise on the back of his calf. It was Kaposi's sarcoma, and we didn't know that then. And he went from very young and wild and healthy to dead very quickly. And he was the first person with AIDS and HIV that we buried out of the meeting house. And I remember having the feeling that a titanic shipwreck of dimensions that were really inconceivable was happening, and that the first victim had just washed ashore. Around the time that members of the Provincetown congregation founded the local AIDS support group, Reverend Kim remembers that her own boys, her people, started showing up with it. And in those days, they would tell you they were sick and they would be dead. Everything just happened so fast. You would be caring for one person, they'd be in the throes of the end game, and then someone else would get diagnosed, and you couldn't even give them the proper sort of heart or attention because you were so busy trying to take care of the person who was dying. In Reverend Kim's interview, she could name many beloved church and community members she buried: Preston Babbitt, president of her board; Stephen Clover, pastor in training; Dennis Thibodeau, artist; Paul Richards, hairdresser; Keith Donahue, painter; Rogers, baker; Patrick, Grace; Paul, Ben, Linda. I'm sure many of you too lost loved ones during the worst years of the American AIDS epidemic. And of course, as many of you know, the personal stories of those who died of HIV/AIDS in the 1980s, especially the late 1980s, early 1990s, have a societal link between them of the long wait for an effective treatment. Recognition of this public health crisis, much less funding for research, was largely absent at the federal level from the Reagan administration. Yes, antiretroviral therapies arrived in the 1990s, but by 1996, when highly effective antiretrovirals became widely available, the United States had already lost over 340,000 Americans to HIV/AIDS, not to mention intensified widespread discrimination against gay men. To me, this is a perfectly harrowing example of what disability activists and scholars call the social model of disability. Instead of disability being an indicator of a moral flaw, a punishment for an individual or a family's character, deeds, thoughts, or karma, or disability being viewed solely as a medical problem, an impairment in the body system or mental function to be solved, fixed, brought back to normal, the social model of disability sees the label of disability as a result of a mismatch between a disabled individual and their physical and social environment. As disabled Euro-American psychology professor Dr. Rhoda Olkin wrote, "It is this mismatched environment that creates the handicaps and barriers, not the disability." From this perspective, the way to address disability is to change the environment and society rather than the people with disabilities. Negative stereotypes, discrimination, and oppression serve as barriers to environmental change and full inclusion. Last summer at our denomination's National General Assembly, the prestigious Ware lecturer was the scholar, professor, and queer feminist disability activist, Rabbi Julia Watts-Belzer. In her most recent book, Loving Our Own Bones, she wrote, "Most folks I meet assume my disability is a medical story, that the place to start when we talk about disability is diagnosis. I want to tell you a different story. A story about social attitudes, architectural barriers, and cultural notions of normalcy that value certain modes of being over others. I want to tell you a story about power, about the 1,000 ways our cultures mark certain bodies and minds as normal while designating others as deviant and defective. It's a story about the way certain bodies and minds get shut out of public space, about the way we get discarded, shunted into care homes, or locked up in prisons. It's a story about the endless hours I've spent hunting wheelchair-accessible apartments, about the time strangers on the street have cut in on private conversations to tell me that they'll pray for me. It's a story about ableism, about the deep entrenched structures of our society that presume it is good and right and natural to live without a disability. It's a story about violence, about harm that cuts against body, spirit, and bone. Black, non-binary, queer, disabled activist, artist, and educator Talila Lewis describes ableism in its simplest terms as the categorization and valuation or ranking of a body, mind, behavior, characteristic, or community as inferior or superior, unworthy or worthy, useless or useful, normative or deviant, leading to determining an individual's value based on their health/wellness and or their ability to satisfactorily reproduce, excel, and behave. Disability activists are right to wonder how ableism manages to persist when, by a 2024 accounting, over a quarter of Americans are in some way chronically disabled, and that all people everywhere will experience some form of disability at some point in their lives. It was only in 1990 that the Americans with Disabilities Act came into force, which followed decades and centuries of disabled people being shut in or sent away, at least by lack of access, if not by law. It was as though the quote-unquote able-bodied, able-minded society was attempting a Prince Siddhartha-level isolation from illness. In an article for the New York Times, disabled hospice chaplain Rabbi Elliot Kukla wrote, "I'm used to feeling like an outsider. I'm the first openly transgender rabbi ordained by a mainstream movement, Reform Judaism. But nothing prepared me for the outsider status of being chronically ill." Think about that for a moment. Approximately 0.6% of American adults identify as transgender, and just under 0.2% of the world population is Jewish, and 100% of us will get sick. Yet it is being chronically sick that has made me feel like an outsider. That's how much our society fears and rejects the core human experience of being ill, of having a body that gets sick, that ages. Though this is all true, I don't want the takeaway from this service or this sermon on the first Sunday of Advent, of hope, to be a story of rejection, suffering, death. Unwilling as I am to ignore the barriers and prejudice disabled and neurodivergent people face. In her now famous TED Talk, Nigerian writer and speaker Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie warned that a single story creates stereotypes. They make one story become the only story. The consequence of a single story is this: it robs people of their dignity. It makes our recognition of our equal humanity difficult. But, she concluded, stories have been used to dispossess and to malign, and stories can also be used to empower and humanize. Stories can break the dignity of a people, but stories can also repair that broken dignity. Susan has already shared with us how her direct experience with disability has demonstrated her inner strength and resilience. Other disabled spiritual leaders shared similar stories, insights, and experiences only available to them because of their disabilities. Rabbi Julia Watts-Belzer wrote about her disabled joy in finding community and finding herself, the first spiritual lesson she learned from her disability, to embrace those quirky qualities of soul and of her body that some folks wish to eradicate, to do everything I could to make sure they survived. I found and felt and claimed the holiness of my own bones. I said yes to my own heart, to my own soul. I had the brilliant audacity to call it good and know it whole. Rabbi Elliot Kukla wrote about the deeper love and appreciation of every person's inherent dignity. Like many people, he wrote, I had once measured my worth by my capacity to produce things and experiences. Being sick has been a long, slow detox from capitalist culture and its mandate that we never rest. Slowly, I found a deeper value in relationship beyond reciprocity, an unconditional love and care-based injustice, and a belief that all humans deserve relationship, regardless of whether we can offer anything measurable back. Amidst this brilliant diversity of power wheelchairs, service dogs, canes, and ice packs, it's easy to see we matter just as we are. Disabled Euro-American Christian scholar and author, Professor Amy Kenny, said it quite simply, my body is made in the image of the divine and radiates that to the world. It's just that the church hasn't caught up yet enough to see her shine. Our faith is working to catch up. In an interview with the UU World denominational magazine, queer Euro-American UU minister, Reverend Amanda Schuber, our national UU disability justice staff member, shared that we see a lot more happening than we ever have before. We have a lot more awareness of chemical sensitivity, fragrance-free spaces, neurodivergence, making sure we're not using ableist language, more and more identity groups that focus on disabilities of various kinds. And we're also seeing more staff that are comfortable identifying as people with disabilities, which is new. Many of you have heard me share how much kinder my brain is to itself after my formal anxiety diagnosis and ongoing treatment. And it is much better living with a kinder, calmer brain for myself, and I assume for everyone else who's in relationship with me. And I don't feel ashamed that medication and therapy has helped me better partner with my serotonin-deprived nervous system, taking the good of my voracious desire to learn and employ best practices while mitigating the difficult inclinations into fearful micromanaging and unnecessary disaster planning. I don't want any of you to feel ashamed about what you need in order to thrive and about the gifts you bring to this congregation due to difference. In our community, I pray that we share our stories, our struggles, our successes wholeheartedly, that we work together to shake off dominant cultural stereotypes imposed on ourselves and on others, both personally and legislatively. And I pray that we find joy and hope in the beautiful and necessary diversity we find in co-creating beloved community. May all this be so. Blessed be, and amen.
Feel free to sing along if you'd like to. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little darling, the smiles returning to their faces. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, I say, it's alright. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, I say, it's alright. It's alright.
Okay, I don't think anybody knew this here, but that's my absolute favorite song, so I'm all messed up now. Good morning. As we near the end of our service, let me highlight some of what's coming up here at First Parish. But first, I wanted to say thank you so much to everyone who has welcomed Aurora and I into this space over the last several months and have really helped us adjust into our new community and has really just been really understanding about our current situation. I have a lot that's going on personally that is involved with our unfortunate injustice in the court system that has really been tearing us down quite a bit that we are preparing for next month. That has just taken up a lot more than I anticipated. So unfortunately, that's the reason why I am moving along to focus on that and Aurora. So I will miss everybody, and we will be coming back as frequently as we can. Aurora is very excited to be participating in the Christmas pageant, which she has been very much practicing for, which she doesn't know what she's practicing for, but she's already got the hat on for it, so we're working on that. So I want to say thank you, and it's been really lovely getting to know every single one of you. All are welcome at our social hour after the postlude, both online and on site. If you're on site and a relative newcomer and you want long-timers to come out and chat with you, please take one of the red mugs at social hour. Not only are the red mugs easy to spot, they're also one of the largest coffee mugs. Woohoo! Today is the caregiver support group at 1 p.m. Their welcome dinner for Jenna is here at the First Parish Hall at 5:30 until 7:30. It's a spaghetti dinner and there's no need to RSVP, just come on by. The UU worship at North Hill is this Wednesday, December 4th at 10:30. Creative Escapes is back on Friday at 10:30 a.m. We also have Vespers on Thursday returning at 5:30. The Nutcracker Suite is happening next Saturday, December 7th at 2 and at 4, and that will be at Babson College in the Sorensen Center of Arts. Homegrown Coffee House is actually that night as well and is hosting a Southern Rail Christmas. Doors open at 7 p.m. and the show starts at 7:30. The Social Action Lunch is next Sunday, December 8th from 12 to 2. And as Reverend Katie said, the Pathways Mitten Tree will be available next Sunday, December 8th. Look for it during our social hour. And Friday Family Fun Night has been moved to December 13th rather than this upcoming Friday, December 6th. You can find details about all of our upcoming events by subscribing to the e-newsletter, The Bell Notes, which you can find in our online order of service at uuneedham.updates.church. We always extinguish our chalice with words promising to carry its flame in our hearts until we are together again, no matter how long it is until we are all together again. Please join me from home or here in the building in saying those words written by UU Minister Reverend Elizabeth Sell Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, nor the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Our closing hymn, Just As Long As I Have Breath, was written by Euro-American UU singer-songwriter Alicia Carpenter. John Edwin Giles, who revised the hymn's harmony, was a prolific composer and the music director of the Unitarian Universalist congregation in Evanston, Illinois. Giles was one of many young gay men who we lost to the AIDS HIV epidemic in the late 20th century. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing Just as Long as I Have Breath. The lyrics are in your orders of service on the screen and at number 6 in your gray hymnals.
Many thanks as well today to our wonderful string quartet. You've brought such beauty into the worship service, even in our most simple of hymns. Thank you. As we close our worship today, take these words from disabled and genderqueer Latin UU minister, Reverend Julian Jamaica Soto, with you as a benediction. In this community, we hold hope close. We don't always know what comes next, but that cannot dissuade us. We don't always know just what to do, but that will not mean that we are lost in the wilderness. We rely on the certainty beneath the foundation of our values and ethics. We are the people who return to love like a North Star and to the truth that we are greater together than we are alone. Our hope does not live in some glimmer of an indistinct future. Rather, we know the way to the world of which we dream, and by covenant and the movement forward of one right action and the next, we know that one day we will arrive at home. Our service begins when our service ends. Blessed be, and amen.